You guys have often heard me say, control your dollar, know your history. A lot of you guys, when you hear me say know your history, you think that I'm just saying know things that they put in books or things that you learn from a book. But that's not only one part of it. You need to know the history of your neighborhood. You need to know the history of your family. You need to know the history of your state. You need to know the history of the schools you attend. You need to know everything around you because whether you believe it or not, these things do affect you. Whether it's you see it directly in front of you. When I was a little boy, and I think most children, if not all children, have this thing where we're curious. We want to know everything because our senses are taking things in. See, when we're babies, we're taking things in, but we're learning basic things: how to suck a bottle, how to eat food, how to crawl, walk, how to go use the toilet for the first time. Potty train. Excuse me. Usually, by the time you're 3 and 4, you start to remember the people around you, having vague memories. I mean, to this day, I can remember being 3 and having birthday parties, being 4, having birthday parties, going to the different stores, doing things with my mother and father, aunts and uncles. Usually by the time you go to school, where you're learning how to remember things, a repetitive thing, that's when your memory really starts to take hold. So usually between about 5, that's when you start to remember things. Now some people don't remember things because they don't learn from their history. They don't take what they learn. Now, speaking as a black male and knowing how the world sees us, my mother and father, especially my father, like, you got to know how to do this. You got to get in the routine. I won't always be here to show you. And my mother said the same thing. And this is why, even though my mother's been gone since 2004, I can still hear her voice telling me, you don't need to do this. Be careful of that. Because you learn from memory, you learn from experience that things happen and things often repeat themselves. And sometimes you be like, man, my mother and father warned me. Man, that teacher warned me. Man, I didn't know this. Ooh, I'm learning something new every day. Wow, that's deja vu. Because you learn it every day as a human being. Even now, even if you think that you're a full-grown adult, you think you know everything, you don't. This is why I encourage people to go out there and explore the society in which they live in. I don't care what your ethnicity is. I don't care what your socioeconomic present is in the world. I don't care what your sexual preference is. Every day you should be learning something. But because I am a black man living in America, I encourage my brothers and sisters, especially brothers, to get out here and learn about who you are and where you come from. Even if you don't have a background, even if, let's just say, for instance, you may be a child of the system. You may not really have any roots, but what you have in that system, no matter how painful it is, you take that, you learn from that. And as you grow, you define who you are. You make history. So when it comes time for you to meet that person and have children, you say, well, when I was a child, I didn't have this, but I'm going to make sure you have it and you can pass this on to your children and so forth. The reason why I bring this up is because when I was a kid, as I said, we have a curiosity thing. We want to ask questions. What's that building there? What was to sit there? Why is this? Why is that? And sometimes parents smile when you do it, and sometimes they can get annoyed. I'm pretty sure I probably annoyed my parents one time or another as a child. But at some point, they say, you know what? It's good that he's doing this. And the same thing goes for the girls. The girls do it too, but males do it more so. Maybe it's just our thing as men. Or males, excuse me, because we grow into manhood. Some of us do. But I remember when I was a little boy. Now, we have to be honest as black kids, especially of a certain age group. Those of us who are Gen Xers, and I want to say those of us born after Dr. King's assassination, if you was in a black household, excuse me, you saw an image. There was a picture up. You had Dr. King, Robert Kennedy, and John F. Kennedy. Very rare you saw any pictures of Malcolm or Medgar up in the same way, but you usually saw those three individuals. And you told about how great JFK and RFK is and MLK. But like most blacks, when you talk about Dr. King, it's more, oh boy, Dr. King was a good man. It's sad what they did to him. And they will usually stop because they don't think at that age you can handle knowing about the assassination of Dr. King. But the funny thing is, they didn't hesitate. Nobody hesitated not to tell you about the assassination of JFK and RFK, even if you didn't understand it. They would say, "Oh, he was the president. That was a brother. They were both shot and killed." But Dr. King just sort of danced around it. And maybe by the time he was lucky, he got to kindergarten, and they was talking about Black history at that time. A lot of people forget it used to be Black History Week. We didn't have a month. It gradually became a month. They would start talking about Dr. King, Rosa Parks, and whatnot. But then you get to Malcolm X. That's when everybody just started putting the brakes on, or say let's change the subject, or had something negative to say, or had something positive, but a but come along with it. And it wasn't until maybe, I think 83, when I started hearing about Mr. Farrakhan more, because Mayor Washington was running Harold Washington was running for mayor. Now, it wasn't too much later that I found out that he wasn't the first black person to run for mayor. Dick Gregory actually tried to run for mayor. But Harold Washington was the one that was going to be that breakthrough. Muhammad Ali, Don King, Bill Cosby, you name it, any black person was prominent in America at that time. Sidney Poitier, everybody was supporting Mayor Washington. This is why it's sort of sad that he's become a footnote, but that's been done on purpose. And I'll talk about that in another commentary. But I remember seeing, I'm like, who is that? And they said, it's Mr. Farrakhan, Nation of Islam. I'm like, what's the Nation of Islam? Oh, they don't believe in God. That's what you, first thing you hear somebody say, oh, they Muslims. They don't believe in God. Okay? And you didn't ask any other question. Then you start seeing them pop up again and again and again. And then you start seeing black men in the community. And maybe they've always been there, but as I said before, you start forming your memories at a certain age. So I had to be about, 6, going on 7, and that kind of thing. You seeing people in the community in these suits, and they got the pies, the stereotype. They got the newspapers, and these brothers are and they was very respectful. I've seen people, newspaper men on the mornings selling newspapers in the morning, which you really don't see anymore, newspaper stands. But these brothers was dressed to they was impeccably dressed, and they would say, "Good morning, my sister. Good morning, my brother. Good afternoon, little brother or sister." And they would speak, and your parents would tell you with proper etiquette, you speak back. And I would ask questions. And my mother was more like, they don't believe in this. Don't talk about them too much. My father was sort of like, they just brothers that we may not always agree with. But to come to find out later, that wasn't what my family actually believed. But they told us that to keep us out of harm's way with the teachers that we went to school with or the kids we interact with. Because as I told you guys in many commentaries, I grew up on the west side of Chicago. And yet, today it's being gentrified, or it would be considered predominantly black. But in the early 80s, there were still white people on that side of town. And you had a lot of white teachers, and they was afraid that you would go to school and say something, you would become a target. And I have to be honest with you, I learned it the hard way. But it took shape a little bit further down in the timeline. But anyways, you start paying attention to the news. And you guys heard me talking about lifestyles of rich and famous when I first saw Donald Trump. And I knew off bat, I said something about dude is nasty. I think dude, at the time, I didn't use the term racist. I would say because they would push bigot or prejudice for little kids. Because they would try to, there was a way of saying, without saying racist seemed a little bit tougher and harsher. Some people, the stomach. So I was watching the news, and Mr. Farrakhan was speaking. I believe it was ABC, because I think he did a lot of stuff, interview with ABC with Ted Koppel and such, because of Nightline or whatever. And they was talking about how they said he was hateful against whites, and he was very calm. He said, I don't hate whites, and he was explaining that he said that's white people out here have done things, wicked things to our people. And I'm paraphrasing, and as a kid, it made sense to me. I'm like, this guy hates people. He sure is really calm, seem very nice. And children do have a BS meter, even though you may not be in that room with that person, you may not know that person, but kids, we can pick up a tone. You can see certain things. So eventually, 1984 was going, Jesse Jackson was running for president. And I remember when Jesse Jackson was getting death threats. And he was getting death threats from whites. And it wasn't just that white person that they put up, stereotypical clips, those images that they take out of context that you see black and white. And they don't never show the color image. I don't know why they never show the 1970s and 80s. Because everybody think everything's stuck to the 1960s. They figure after 1968, it stopped. And that's why a lot of people today like, I can't believe this racism is going on. Wow. So I'm watching the news, and back then, kids my age, we either wanted to be doctors, lawyers, firemen, teachers, or news anchors, reporters. Besides being a superhero, because me and my best friend, now deceased, we used to pretend that we was reporters. We used to anchor the news. I kid you not, me and my brother and my friend, my brother would try to do sports, we would try to do the news. Simpler days. So, Gen X, even then, we were at that age where we started aware because what our parents did with us. Our teachers made us get a newspaper. They say, get the Sunday paper, get you with your parents. They send a letter home. Parents say, we want you to take an article that you think your children can understand. They can do a report. They can come back to class and read it, and we can discuss it. They don't do that anymore. Thank God to those teachers. I don't know if them teachers still alive or not, but thank God they did that. But those are black teachers, those black female and male teachers. Well, mostly female. But anyways, anywho, Jesse Jackson was running for president in 1984. I remember it. And I remember the death threats this man was getting. And he was getting it from a particular community that always claimed that they are victims, that they had to deal with hate every day and blah, 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 blah. But at that time, I didn't know it. But I'm like, why y'all threatening Reverend Jackson just running for president? As a kid, I'm like, you vote or you don't vote. Now, did I understand the mechanisms? I just knew that you vote for the guy and you don't. I knew Mundell was running and these other people was running. Geraldine Ferraro was picked to be the first female vice. No, I mean, I remember all that. It was no Secret Service detail back then for them to get protected. So Minister Farrakhan volunteered the Fruit of Islam. We're going to provide security for Brother Jesse. Because Minister Farrakhan, like many other blacks, knew what Jesse was doing historic. And Jesse wasn't just appealing to black constituents. He was appealing to those white constituents. He was appealing to those white men and women that was forgotten, that Fred Hampton, the Black Panther Party, was talking to back in the day. They was talking to those white men and white women who had those factory jobs, who were losing those factory jobs because of politicians, excessive greed, corporations, excessive greed. We tend to forget that. See, this is why when I look at CNN, MSNBC, which is NBC is all part of NBC, they have a library of film and stories. They can all go back and pull, but they won't because they're going to be found out as being a part of that problem. Misinformation. So I'm watching the news, and they saying Minister Farrakhan hate white people, all this. I'm like, from what I've seen and what the guy interviewed, he don't seem like that. But I could be wrong. Like I said, I don't. Even as a kid, I would admit to you, I didn't know everything. You think you do, but at times, but if you talk about cartoons, yeah, comic books, yeah. But life, I looked to my parents or those teachers, and I remember asking my father, said, does he hate white people? And my father, he inhaled. He like, you young, you may not understand it, but he said that we always gonna be presented like that if you speak up. And my mother looked at my father like, don't go there. My father said, we've been telling him off and on for years what this man is. And he said, I think he should know. He's at the age we starting to put two and two together, you know? So he broke it down to me. He said, the Nation of Islam, you know, you had Malcolm, you heard of Malcolm. I said, yeah, and everybody bad mouth Malcolm. Because people forget back in that time, you didn't speak about Malcolm in the way you spoke about Malcolm in the early 90s into today. Back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, even in the 60s when Malcolm, you support Malcolm, you was considered un-American or you was anti-white across the board. And his father started talking, and you know, I'm like, uh-huh. But he said, we don't talk about the Nation of Islam outside of the house. And we really don't want to talk about it in the house. I'm like, okay. But as a kid, when you tell a child we're not going to talk about something, we're not going to do anything, that piques our curiosity a little bit more. So I didn't think anything else about it until one day, my mother and my brother and my sister, we was coming from somewhere. We was on the corner of Central and Division. And this brother, obviously a member of the Nation of Islam now, walked up to the car. And this was back when, you know, you didn't have to worry about nobody coming up carjacking and stuff. He had his newspapers. He had a bean pie, I'm assuming. And he was saying, good afternoon, my beautiful sister. Good afternoon to your children. My mother said hi and everything. We like hi, you know, being little kids and stuff. Because at that time, seatbelts wasn't mandatory yet. That was more of a voluntary thing. So, of course, we moving around the back. And he said, would you like to buy a paper? I'm like, Mama, buy the paper, because I was one of those kids who was a voracious reader. I just like to read everything. I want to know everything. And she paid, she gave him the money, said, thank you, you be safe, you have a great day, blah, blah, blah. We went on. And at first, my mother read the paper. And she didn't put it down. Normally, my mother read a newspaper, and maybe after 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes or so, she'd put it to the side, and she'd pass it on to my father, he'd read it, and then somehow I wound up with the comics or whatever. But this time, she read it from start to finish. Then she said, I want you to read this. Now, I can't remember what it was in it, and I don't claim to understand everything I read, but she wanted me to read it from start to finish. She said, when you finish, make sure you put it where your father can get it. Now, I don't recall my father reading it, but my mother, once she said, what do you think? And she said, do you think they're good people or bad people? And I only go by what that guy that sold us the paper. The few interviews I saw that Mr. Farrakhan gave, they seemed very polite and respectful, even though the reporters have been mean-spirited to him and whatnot. I said, it seemed like they really care about us. They black, aren't they? And my mother said they are. She said, it's just that you won't understand as a child. She said, it's hard. And she walked away from it. I'm like, they may be more curious to find out about them. So around that time, that's when I started getting into Dr. King, learning about Dr. King, you know, talking about Emmett Till, all these different things. But Farrakhan was always there because he popped up on TV at some point. And you have to understand, this is before cable was deep around the country. Because city of Chicago is even hardwired for cable. Like, I think on my block, me, our family, and another family was the only two families on the block that had cable at that time. So we get to see programs, stuff that others didn't see. And then CNN would show clips of Mr. Farrakhan. Then I remember my mother had the radio on. I think at that time it was either AM 1390, I believe it was, or one of those, Yvonne Daniels. If you're from Chicago, you know, remember Yvonne Daniels. But it was a station that she was on. And It was a late in the evening. They played a speech because Mr. Farrakhan had got tired of him saying he was anti-Semitic and taking what he said out of context. So what happened was Mr. Farrakhan, they played the speech in full. That's when I knew that they was lying on Mr. Farrakhan. Something just clicked in my head. I'm like, that's not what they said in the news. And he explained in depth. That's why to this day, Mr. Farrakhan said, why don't they play my speeches in full? So they said, let the American public decide. Said, you telling them what they should think. And right then and there, I started to look at the Nation of Islam, the totally divine Mr. Farrakhan, when he went on Donahue, because he was a regular on Donahue almost. And if you guys see the clips, if you see the clips now, you'll see what Mr. Farrakhan was respectful. He wasn't argumentative. He wasn't any of those things. But when you had black reporters that thought, if I can get a promotion, if I say that Mr. Farrakhan did this or said this, you had white reporters with an agenda. You had politicians with an agenda. You had hate groups with an agenda. And but then I got a little bit older. I realized the reason why black folk, like my parents and them, was sort of on the fence with them, because it could have cost them their livelihoods. Because Mr. Farrakhan was and still is outspoken. And back in the day, and he can still bring the fire now, but back in the day, man, he'll light you up. Now, I say all this because as a child, I had enough common sense to want to learn. Even if it was bad, I can separate good from bad. I knew the bad guys, the good guys. Yes, I know that people who just sort of gray area, but what I was being told by, or what you were seeing on TV just wasn't gelling with what I saw, what I was figuring out. Now, sometime around when rap started to take on prominence, NWA come out, Fight the Power, you start seeing the Malcolm X images and Nation of Islam and stuff, and it was sort of a resurgence. And people in the media got scared because the baby boomers were in their late 30s, early 40s, and they was trying to see what the baby boomers was going to do. And the baby boomers wanted to play it safe in the late 80s, early 90s. I remember that. That's why now, looking at them in the 70s, you know, they 60s and late 60s, you know, they 60s, they late 60s, they 70s, early 70s, like, 30-something years, and, yeah, you know, this is what we get. But those Gen Xers who had maybe 10 years on me, or maybe had 5 years on me, they was old enough where they can go to the mall. They was old enough where they can go buy music and stuff. So we got what the cassettes, and we would stick and listen to them. When Spike Lee did Do the Right Thing and those type of movies and Fight the Power, you like, okay, I see Malcolm X, see Farrakhan. Wait a minute, they talking about our community. They talking about or a section of black America. We had pride back in the late 80s and 90s. And what did the record companies and the media and the news say? We're going to squash that. We're going to take control and program these Negroes for what we want. And what that made me and other people more inclined to go out and do more research. So when Spike did Malcolm, black folks rushed in droves. Even non-blacks. Even whites did, and they was afraid. And there were some white people that was saying, what is the minister saying that's hateful? Because he always, he giving out long speeches. And I know y'all can say, well, Harvey, you got to get to the point of this commentary. But I want you guys to understand where I come from, how I got to research. And so I wasn't one of those people just blindly saying, because he's black, I got to follow. No. Because there are times when Mr. Farrakhan may say things that I may not see the same way or approach the same way, but I get where he's coming from. A lot of people complain about religion. I put religion to the side. Whatever they believe religious, how they refer to God, that's their business. I don't get into that. But when you start talking about our people and the issues that affect our people and what we need to do, I agree with this man wholeheartedly. The criticisms he's giving other people, whether they like it or not, we've been used by other groups of people. And they don't like it. They don't like the idea of a black man. See, they used to us putting our head down, us pretending it don't exist, or us running and scared. They had to come out with all kinds of lies and distortion. I'm not saying this guy's an angel. Nobody's an angel. Everybody made their mistakes, put their foot in their mouth, but a lot of stuff they accuse this man of. I'm like, if you can prove it, I want to see receipts. They yet to show the receipts. This is one of the reasons why Bill Cosby wanted to buy NBC, not because he wanted to put TV shows on, because that news apparatus they got. Why do you think these social media sites don't want people like me, Professor Black Truth, Nicole's Views, Philadelphia Vice Show, or now the Diaspora Channel, True World Family, Lisa Cabrera, and many others? Why do you don't think they don't want us out here talking? And it's not that we spreading propaganda, because we give you guys facts. And we'll tell you guys, hey, you ain't got to believe us. Do your own research. Then formulate your facts. How many channels are telling you guys that? That's why you see the false flag in other channels and whatnot. Why you think they don't promote our channels anymore? See, if we was out there cursing every minute, playing to stereotypes, they would encourage that. There's a reason why they're going after certain people. There's a reason why you turn on the TV and certain black faces on. There's a reason why you don't see certain clips of documentaries. If you go to Hulu, Netflix, or whatever you go to, you get your streaming service. If you got Comcast, DirecTV, Dish, you don't see no documentaries. All the documentaries have been made that I know that exist. You don't see them. Well, we don't want to show them because they may be out of context. But you show them old movies that's out of context. Y'all still just put those stereotypical or those distorted lies about the 1960s, about the Kennedys in them up. About Johnson and them. You romanticize Lee Iacocca and all these other places, people. What it is, they do not want to do to you what was done to me. You see that one or two images and you start to ask questions, start to think. Or say, why is it they doing this? Why are they doing that? But I digress. Mr. Farrakhan has been a part of Black America for a long time. And whether you agree with everything or don't agree, you got to be honest that he has a voice. He has a presence within our community. And a lot of black folk will say, I don't agree with Mr. Farrakhan, but on the slide, Farrakhan's right. A lot of politicians, white and black, they go and meet Farrakhan until they want to destroy him or use him as a proxy. Remember our former president, Barack Obama, when he was running for office, Illinois office, and was one of the rough president, who he standing next to? You mean Farrakhan changed between the time Barack Obama and him met? Farrakhan always been Farrakhan. Farrakhan been Farrakhan since the 1950s, 1960s. You know what I mean? Remember, Malcolm X was his teacher, right along with Elijah Muhammad. Or let me say Elijah Muhammad was him and Malcolm's teacher. Let me get that correct. I don't want to insult anybody in the nation. That's not my intention. Obama had no problem standing next to Farrakhan at this point. It was when he wanted to run for office that Farrakhan became a liability of sorts, sort of. So when Hillary Clinton did that debate with the late Tim Russell, when he rested in hell, when Hillary Clinton didn't win, even though I know people say, well, you said you would have voted for her. Yeah, to keep Trump out of office. I tell you, Trump was dangerous. But God don't like ugly. She lost to Trump. They decided they're going to use Farrakhan as a litmus test. And if you notice any black politician, they'll bring up Jesse and Al, but Farrakhan's the one they bring up. White folk in them ain't stupid. They know black folks be paying attention to what Farrakhan said, and they're afraid that if you get in office and you not afraid of them, that Farrakhan might have a voice. So what they do, they said, to nip you in the butt, we're going to attack you, anybody around you. The last time Farrakhan was on TV when Don Lemon interviewed him back in 2008, because if Farrakhan said he supported Barack Obama, and that's what he wanted to vote for. And they made it like Farrakhan shouldn't vote. Why is he voting for Barack? Like he don't get a choice. They don't do that to no other politician or no other pastor, no other celebrity. But when Farrakhan got there, You need to denounce, reject. You should want his vote. That's a paternalistic view of black people. We're going to tell y'all what y'all should think and how y'all respond. During Obama 8 years, you didn't see Mr. Farrakhan. He had nothing to say to Mr. Farrakhan. He could have easily reached out or somebody minister and said, Mr. Farrakhan, we need to help our brothers in these troubled communities. You can't deny that the Nation of Islam has cleaned up black men. Nation of Islam has done, but this is why you got blacks today. What if Mr. Farrakhan ain't done nothing? Well, because y'all don't see it, because the media is not going to show it to you. I remember going through neighborhoods, seeing them go through neighborhoods, provide security. I remember back in the 90s, they was providing security. And who our so-called allies, our so-called buddies in arms, was complaining. Mr. Farrakhan told the stories, or he's invited to certain people's homes, or he invited them there. And they said, we agree with what you're doing. We admire what you're doing. But it was a caveat to come on. You got to do this. If you don't, what's we're going to do? They made threats to this man and said, if you don't do this, we're going to make your life hard. We're going to do this to you. They had a apparatus. They had the media. They had people who ran these media companies. They had new reporters. We didn't have that. We still don't have that. I say all that because I remember about 3 years ago, Tamika Mallory. She the one that helped push that woman's what's that, the new, I forget their name, but you know when Donald Trump got sworn in and all over the globe, it was her leadership, and there was other women, but it was her leadership that made it what recognized issues that women was talking about, in particular black women, or as they say, people of color. They didn't hijack. I don't like using that term because they've been hijacked over the last 3-4 years, but you know what I mean. She was the one that was behind it, but they said nope. The media like we can't no black woman. We don't nobody know no black woman was doing this. So let's go get the other melanated women. We'll put them here and there, all over the globe. And if you notice, a lot of us forget it was when Donald Trump got in office. There was some sisters out there saying, we warned y'all about him. Y'all voted for him anyway. And you had some white women out here criticizing those white women was doing it, but they all got on code. You can't bash and call another white woman. But the thing is, the group that she was in, I forget the name of it now, and y'all bear with me. I know somebody go out there and find it. Tamika was over there, and like the fact that this black woman was well spoken. She didn't tuck her tail between legs and run away. She kept it going. And those outside the community they didn't like it. So they said, how do we get rid of her? How do we take a black woman down or a black man down without accusing them of a sex crime or a murder? You can call them anti-Semitic. And they went after accusing her of being anti-Semitic. This woman ain't never said nothing anti-Jewish. She's called out various white folk or others melanated people who want to use the black community and want to play the black community. But they said because she went to a Savior's Day meeting, because she was pictured, one of these images right here with Mr. Farrakhan, she must be anti-Semitic. Now, in the black community, we know that's a nuanced thing with Mr. Farrakhan. We know, what if you really pay attention, brother minister, that you know he ain't anti-Jewish. But he calls out the hypocrisy of some Jewish men and Jewish women. You can't say you're a victim, but you participate in victimizing us. And they don't want you talking about it, so they just throw the anti-Semitic term out, and that's what they're trying to do with her. But she did something that most black folk don't do. She stood strong in her convictions, and she stood next to Minister Farrakhan. She said, you're not going to tell me who I can listen to. And she said, do I agree with everything Mr. Farrakhan say? No. And I really hate when black folks have to do that. Even I did it, but we're trying to be fair and let people know that we don't have a group mindset. But she stood with Mr. Farrakhan. She didn't back down. She did something even black men don't do. She said, you're not going to tell me you're not going to lie and distort what my words are. Her and Meghan McCain got into it. Meghan McCain tried to check on The View. Sonny Hostin tried to comment or something. Well, you know he's anti-Semitic. That's your interpretation of Minister Farrakhan, which is like, you think Meghan McCain went out there and did her research on Farrakhan? Nah, she went by with her daddy, John McCain, who was a racist. Let me remind y'all, her father got shot down in Vietnam. Dr. King was still alive at that point. Dr. King didn't shoot John McCain down. He wasn't firing no rounds at John McCain. But when John McCain decided to run for office, when Ronald Reagan and them didn't want to pass McCain's birthday holiday, John McCain was voting it down in Arizona, remember? So here it is, you were shot down by Viet Cong. No black person did nothing to you, but you didn't want us to celebrate a man's birthday, a man that was non-violent. Think about that for a second. So now, 30-some years later, you're going to turn around and you're going to tell a black woman who she should listen to, who's hateful and whatnot. And Tamika could have easily then say, you know, you're accusing Mr. Farrakhan of hate, Megan, your father, but everybody want to tiptoe because of daddy died. I'd be like, you know what, if we're going to do that, then should we hold your father even though he's gone? Should we not revere your father as much? Now, Tamika could have did that, and they would have tried to make her the villain of the story, but she should be made no more a villain story than what Donald Trump has said about her family and her daddy. But Meghan McCain, she sat there and she's like, well, Mr. Farrakhan, he says this, and they knew a form of attack, not just the Jewish thing. He's anti-gay lesbian. That's their new trick. And Tamika wasn't falling for it. And when she went on TV and she checked Meghan McCain and Sonny Hostin and them, after a while, they stopped putting her off on TV. You didn't see her no more. But over there at CNN, you had that bastard Jake Tapper try to pull that shit. Excuse my language when I think about it, because Jake Tapper was the one that was bringing up Farrakhan. He the one that brought Farrakhan. Remember when they was talking about hate on social media, and they went after Farrakhan to justify getting rid of Alex Jones, those white racists, those extreme groups to the right, and even some on the left. They said we gotta have a black guy. We need a black boogeyman. Well, guess what? Who can you make a boogeyman? They went to the tried and true. Let's go after Mr. Farrakhan, a man who really ain't said nothing to the masses, for those who are loyal to following Mr. Farrakhan or to certain members of the black community. Jake Tapper went out there. And that's how Meghan McCain and all of them. That's why they went after Tamika. I want y'all to think about that for a second. When was the last time that Farrakhan was on ABC or NBC or CBS or NBC or CNN? Y'all just throw the anti-Semitism thing out there. But now they got slick. Let's put LGBTQ and then anti-Semitic. Now, for those of you who are young or old who never listened to the minister in this proper context, let me let y'all know, if you decide to, he can be long-winded, and he can use, like I'm doing right now. Even Rachel Maddow does this. You talk about certain experiences, so you bring people to understand where you're going, which experiences, why you do the things you do, why you follow or listen or willing to be open-minded to certain people. Jake Tapper has been on a tear for the last 3 years to make Farrakhan a issue, but Farrakhan ain't said nothing. This man is 80-something years old. He's not the Farrakhan of 1980. He's not the Farrakhan of 1970. Hell, he's not the Farrakhan of 1990. He's an older man that goes out there, speaks to the people. We want better for our people. We may not always agree with what he says, or we might agree wholeheartedly with what he says. But to make Farrakhan the bad guy of the story, come on. Facebook led the charge. YouTube, they took Farrakhan accounts down. But Donald Trump, sitting president, that spews nothing but hatred. Fox even got an Instagram, Twitter account. They don't go after them. You take a few people off YouTube and Facebook or Instagram, and you're like, we got rid of hate speech, but they still haven't pointed out exactly what Farrakhan said that was hateful. See, my thing is like, even on the right, when you say somebody on the right says something, I said, let me go hear what they say. Because a lot of times you can misinterpret things, or you let somebody tell you who's the bad guy of the story. Like I tell you guys, when I point out somebody that's no good, just because I feel they're no good don't mean you're going to feel it. So I go out there and say, this is what they say. If you don't believe me, go to this channel, go do your own research. A lot of times I don't like leaving the links because I want y'all to go do your own research. Back in the day, before the internet, we have easy access to information, or distorted information, I should say. We did the research, or we took time to listen. As I said many times, do I agree with everything Mr. Farrakhan? I don't agree with everything Dr. King said. Hell, I don't agree with everything my mother and father told me. Because we all have different thought processes. We see the world different at times, based off experiences. But today, Jake Tapper, he out here doing it again. Because that new Fox channel with Fox SouI, which I laugh at them, they just want to air Minister Farrakhan's speech. And Jake Tapper like, why would Fox SouI air his speech? He's anti-LGBTQ. Notice he put that out there first. And I'm going to tell y'all what Jake Tapper in the media, and particularly certain elements or people in society is trying to do. And he's anti-Semitic and misogynist. If y'all pay attention, all these white televangelists, all these white men over the years have been saying stuff that be considered misogynist. Minister Farrakhan said, protect our women. He said, respect our women. Yeah, they may have some classic male-female dynamic. They think that women should may be at home in some cases, or women should be rearing their children. But you know what? I don't think you can consider that misogynist, because women have something that men don't have. We can care about our children, but to nurture your children in the same way, no, mothers are equipped for that. Even first-time mothers, they even have an instinct. I've seen it. You've seen it. Not every woman has it, but majority of women do. I don't care what your ethnicity is. You got that mother instinct. A child knows how to, only mama can soothe that child. When a baby's crying like crazy and the mama pick him up and lay that baby near her chest, that baby calms down. So if that's being misogynist, then I guess there's a lot of misogynistic men out there who want their wives around their children or their girlfriends or whomever, however they household is set up. Anti-Semitic, calling out the hypocrisies of the Jewish community or those who claim to be friends of the black community. You know how we talk about blackface? You know we never talk about the Jewish men and women who was pushing blackface as well. We never talk about the studio heads of Warner Brothers and Paramount and 20th Century Fox back in the day, or even now, who are Jewish. We don't talk about the men and women in the record industry who are Jewish. We don't talk about them promoting these negative images of black folk. We're not indicting the entire community. That wouldn't be fair to attacking the entire group. Just like we tell people, why are you attacking the entire black community? Why are you doing this to us? Black people, we know damn well not to indict an entire group of people. We talk about those who want power. There are Jewish politicians that have sat back and endorsed racist policies. As black kids, we had a lot of Jewish teachers that didn't teach us jack, or pass us along, or target us if you had any type of smarts. But they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the gay community hypocrisy and how the gay community for good 20-something years, of the last 20-something years, wanted to paint it that the black community is most homophobic. But black folks, y'all copy more from black folk than anything. But Jake Tapper said, you know what? We're going to shame Fox, and Fox SouI are not going to air it now. So that tells you we have no black media. Because Jake Tapper got mad. How dare you? But you don't tell Fox what not to air. You don't tell CBS or NBC. You don't tell these studios what not to air. Jake, if you so concerned about image and hate speech, why don't you go after the record and say, hey, why are you guys promoting black people only as a certain type of rapper or black women on these reality shows if you want to be fair? Jake trying to be slick. LGBT, because you know why? The last few months, you saw black folks leading the charge, and you saw white folks went around us, and so they said, how do we get away from black people? So you already got the black trans and them just now leaping on Black Lives Matter. They saying black trans matters. So they said, how do we get people away from protesting or talking about COVID affecting the black community or police misconduct? Let's go ahead and create some false controversy with Minister Farrakhan. Let's do that. Let's go out here and make Minister Farrakhan the story. Let's go out here and make Minister Farrakhan the bad guy. I've been doing this for 3 years. It's been gaining some steam, but let me keep saying that Farrakhan is anti-gay. He's vile. But they never play Farrakhan what he said. They take a snippet and they play it out of context. Well, Ice Cube said, watch your mouth, Jake. Because the last 2 weeks, the Jewish community, certain members try to say the Ice Cube's anti-Semitic because Ice Cube's pointing out some things. But Ice Cube always has pointed out some things within the Jewish community. What it is right now, the Jewish community, just like the gay community or certain elements of the black gay community, the Hispanic community don't like the fact that black people leading, the voices are being heard. We getting these monuments taken down. Black folks are coming out on social media. We out here videotaping white folks acting like fools. So they don't like this. So that's how you change your narrative. Bring it back to Minister Farrakhan. You say something Farrakhan, everybody starts scattering. And what they want is black folk to scatter. Jake Tapper obviously got a bias, right? And you know what I mean. Ice Cube said, nah, watch it. Because I'm going to tell you, if you don't watch it, and I would say this to black folk, call CNN. If you got cable, and everybody got cable nowadays, whether it's Comcast, whatever regional cable you got, DirecTV, Dish, y'all better call CNN and tell them you better check your boy Jake. Because we know he's doing. He did it 3 years ago, then he went after Tamika Mallory. He don't want to let that charge on her. He don't want to ever lead that charge of getting Mr. Farrakhan and them snatched off social media. And Fox SouI is directed towards the black viewing audience. So if black people want to listen to Farrakhan, that's our business. If we don't want, I didn't even know Farrakhan was going to be on there because everybody don't even know about Fox SouI. See that? So that tells you something. They try to create controversy. These black folks are marching up and down. This Black Lives Matter stuff. We gotta take. See, this is why. And Farrakhan pointed out how they do. They have to create something. And Cube said, watch it, Jake. And I don't blame Cube. Because every time you turn on TV, they try to divert the controversy. Like right now, that COVID and spiked in those states that didn't want to wear masks or thought you were taking their rights away. Remember, everybody's walking around with the guns and stuff, and the media tap dance around that. And then Black Lives Matter come out, and they was out there, well, they were out there congregating. But there were people out there with masks on. You ain't heard not one, those places like New York, where it was protesting. Chicago is protesting. Those places where it was all protesting, you don't hear nobody complaining about no illness. But the places where they didn't want to wear a mask yet, nobody's talking about that. Why don't you talk about that, Jake? No, because once again, black folk look like we told you so. Look how quick the media wanted to go out there and vilify R. Kelly last year. Look how fast they wanted to vilify Kobe Bryant until Susan Rice and them decided we got to check Snoop Dogg. They pull out black men to vilify us, but when they get that ultimate black man, let's go get Farrakhan. This is why we need black media, so we can push back against these constant negative images and lies. Like I said, I don't agree with everything Mr. Farrakhan said because I'm a different age group, number one. That man in his 80s, I'm in my 40s. 40-something year age gap. Come on. But I something that I can recognize that me and him got in common, that we're black men. And people always want to tell us to be quiet. And Jake Tapper, he think, well, I'm a reporter. Trump and them disrespected him. And the thing is, you're going to tell Fox Soul who they can have. That's a very paternalistic, slave master type mindset. Because at CNN, you have a lot of guests that I find offensive. But we'll complain about it. But CNN, I don't hear Jake Tapper say, hey, we can't interview this person. How many races have we seen on CNN? How many races did we see on TV? I don't see Jake saying, hey, we shouldn't air none of Donald Trump press conferences. He don't respect the reporters. He's anti-Semitic. He's racist. He's chauvinistic. Y'all don't use that with Donald Trump. Jake don't have that energy, but you want to go out to Mr. Farrakhan, who don't have access to the bully pulpit, but you want to tell black folk how we should think. That's a slave master. Like, we get to decide what you Negroes listen to. We get to decide what you Negroes think. Bill Maher, all these, you notice a pattern of people doing. Judd Apatow, we're going to destroy Bill Cosby. Like, why we're going to shame you? Why you like Bill Cosby? You notice it's a pattern here. And Mr. Farrakhan and Malcolm X has said it. Who's in charge of what? Just like when they did those couple of shootings at those synagogues, right? They tried to make it more like, oh, they're going after the Jewish community. They ain't going after y'all like they're going after black folk. We get it from men and women in uniform. We getting it from teachers. We getting it from doctors. We get it from people that care to assassinate us if they not actually assassinating us. Now, as I said before, I'm not indicting the entire community of people. Everybody in the Jewish community ain't doing that. Because they're members that I've come in contact with men and women and had conversations over the years, people in passing, about the Nation of Islam, about Malcolm X, about Mr. Farrakhan. And you'd be surprised what quite a few white folk who are not Jewish identified have said. Y'all see some of the comments in the comment section. This is why they need to reinstate Mr. Farrakhan's channel. Whether he's actually got somebody, and he's not actually putting the damn commentary up. There are people who's monitoring certain things, putting stuff up. But Jake Tapper, he led that charge. Now he's back at it again. But notice he tried to be slick. Let's put the gay community. Make the gay community, because you notice we keep saying anti-Semitism, and a lot of people like, yeah, but what are y'all doing? You notice that the ADL don't get that pop like they used to anymore. Everybody asses to tighten up. Because what happened was when Netanyahu came to the United States back during the Obama years, and we was at the Congress and Senate, and how he disrespected the President Obama, and found out his brother-in-law, and his son was saying all kinds of hateful things about President Obama, how disrespectful, and he was dropping them bombs over there, and everybody firing missiles, and everybody like, maybe we had it wrong. There wasn't black folks saying that. There were white folks saying that. It wasn't Mr. Farrakhan, because this is one time Mr. Farrakhan didn't say nothing. It was white people. Netanyahu knows the media don't want to talk about him, all the criminal stuff he got accused of over there. Knows they've been real quiet about Israel in the media. Come on, man. Ain't nobody stupid. So what they do, they go out there and try to create controversy. Let's go bring up Mr. Farrakhan. You know the media don't even go ex Mr. Farrakhan when you think anymore. So Jake, I want you, this is what we should say, Jake, and the other news organizations, y'all just regurgitate what y'all predecessors have said. We want you to go out there and play Mr. Farrakhan's speeches in full context, not edited, not no sound bites, none of that stuff. Play it. I guarantee a lot of white folk are like, See, You got white boogeyman, so we gotta go create a black boogeyman. They did that to the late Fred Hampton. Let's go make a boogeyman. This is why I'm mad at people like Will Smith and Jay-Z and all of them. Y'all go meet Farrakhan on the side. But they start coming out, I don't hear y'all saying, wait a minute. All the stuff that these white celebrities and politicians have said, y'all holding up. Like they talking about, well, we don't want to take down the monuments of George Washington. Yeah, he's a founding father, but he was a slave owner. You only see one monument of Dr. King. That's the only one you're going to see up. This is why I get sick to the stomach they mention Dr. King's name. Why can't Mr. Farrakhan be more like Dr. King? You know, and then they put out Malcolm X. That's just to manipulate black folks. Because the other time, when Malcolm X was hate speech. But if you go back and listen to these men's speeches, you'll be like, wait a minute, what did they say? You know, they're pointing out those who do wrong. They're pointing out the people who are taking advantage of people or cause strife. They mad that Farrakhan used to be able to go over the globe and meet with heads of state. They didn't like that. There's going to be a day when your Reverend Jacksons and your Farrakhans are not going to be here. And we got to be the ones to write history, not somebody outside of our community. Because they're not going to tell the truth. And Jake Tapper knows exactly what he's doing, and he's trying to manipulate the LGBT. All of a sudden, now, first, back in the day, you didn't mention the gay community. You just say he's anti-Semitic. Then they say, well, he's a misogynist, anti-Semitic. Now he's an LGBT and anti-Semitic and a misogynist. But all these white men, Donald Trump openly said, grandmother, you know what, and white women overwhelmingly voted for him. But Donald Trump is not a misogynist. These networks have made billions of dollars after women pouncing around their bikinis. At some point in the TV show, you'll get a woman in a bathing suit or her bra and panties. They even sexualize the Disney girls. But y'all don't say nothing about that, but y'all try to project that on black men. Or look at them rap videos. They're no different than on rock videos back in the day. They're no different than daytime soaps. They're having sex scenes and stuff. But y'all want to project everything on black men or the black community. But Jake Tapper think he's sick. Well, he's anti-white. All of a sudden, you put an LGBT. And when Mr. Farrakhan has even said, I may not agree with it, but I don't hate my gay brothers and sisters. He said that, but see, people ain't going to go do the research because what did they do? They purged his videos off social media. I remember about 5 years ago, I did a video about Mr. Farrakhan and some gay person. I'm assuming if you read like a white person. He's anti-gay. He hates homosexual. I'm like, he didn't say it. He never said that. Who said it? He said it. Did you hear him say it? Well, I read so. I said, you read somewhere. I said, who wrote the article? Now, I'm not a fan of Ice Cube like that because it's time Cube and said things or did things that rubbed me the wrong way. But he caught out Bill Maher. I wish he'd went in harder. But I'm glad he said something about Jake. Watch your mouth. We know what Jake Tapper's doing. Jake Tapper did that with Tamika. Miss Farrakhan is one of our elders. They hold all them white men in high regard. They say all kinds of hateful, sexist, evil crap. But y'all want to project all this on Minister Farrakhan? Come on. I'm not a member of the Nation of Islam, but I did my research. I sit back and listen. Y'all mad because Mr. Farrakhan keep talking about blacks need to do for self. They don't want blacks. We want us to be beholden to everybody else. That's what they mad of. They're afraid on the 4th of July weekend. And this the thing. How you gonna tell everybody else to get the freedom of speech? You, as a reporter, you demand. You say, I have freedom of expression. I have freedom of speech. I'm part of the 4th estate. I can say and do ever, but then you want to shut everybody else down. You're a hypocrite. Jake Tapper is a racist, plain and simple. We live in a world where everybody want to tell black folk. I mean, that's a very paternalistic idea. Why they airing it? How the excuse me? How the heck are you gonna tell us what we get to listen to and what we watch? That's a slave master mentality. I wish black folk would start calling it out. I'm tired of it. I've known since I was a kid. He'll give a speech and somebody butt in. He shouldn't be giving a speech. Wait a minute, everybody else get to speak but him? They put him on the level of Hitler. How in the hell did Farrakhan drop a bomb on people or put people in ovens or destroy their family? He didn't do that. No, y'all didn't like the fact that black folks said enough is enough. We're not going to be talking about the whites up north or this group of whites when we got some that claim to be our friends who've been stabbing us in the back and using us and claiming things that we have created or originated as theirs. But trying to be slick and use the gay community as a front, then anti-Semitism, then all the things that affect white folk that white folk feel that's important. You don't even hear black gays tripping on Farrakhan because a lot of them, they know what he said. But see, let me tell you something. What wouldn't help when the Wayans family and some of the black comics was making jokes and spreading misinformation about the nation. Is it perfect? No. No organization, no group of people are perfect. But to sit here and try to bring Mr. Farrakhan up now and try to make him the villain of a story. How dare you, Jake? When that Mark Amir, who was defending George Zimmerman, came on CNN, I didn't see you protesting. We need black people to call out these white reporters who just go out there and repeat what they've heard. None of these dudes have done their research, and it behooves you, whether you black, white, straight, gay, young, old, rich, or poor, to do your research on these people. When I was being critical of Donald Trump, I can tell you where I got my information from. You guys can go research it. When I was calling y'all about Roseanne Barr, I was warning y'all, telling y'all like this is what they're saying. Anytime a black person, especially a black man, call out the powers that be and call out what they're doing and their manipulative behavior, they got to paint us as crazy or the crackpot. I remember Mr. Farrakhan had his cancer scare. I remember the reporters in Chicago and up in cable news, they were chomping at the bit to hear that he died. Here it is, there have been white segregationists and have died, and they well, today we buried blah blah blah, or our prayers go out to this family, da da da. But they was hoping that Farrakhan would drop dead. Look what they did to Arsenio Hall. Arsenio Hall so scared today he don't even want to admit that Paramount gave him the axe because of it. They was gonna find a way to get rid of Arsenio because of David Letterman, but the thing is that Farrakhan they gave him cover. And when Farrakhan went on that episode of Arsenio Hall, he didn't say nothing hateful. Matter of fact, if you go back and remember the Arsenio Hall show, it was a diverse audience, and I would probably even say more so whites was in the audience at that time. I would love to sit down and talk to Minister Exum, his opinions on media, because a lot of the attacks have come from him from media. That's why they put their own paper out. And the nation is don't talk about political matters. They talk about world events. They just don't talk about what happened down the street. I hate when the media does that. I hate when certain reporters feel we got to go create a boogeyman. Jake Tapper is a rat. He's been going out to Farrakhan for the last. They need to create a book. See, Obama not in office no more. You can't do that slow that little slow burns or the little digs. Y'all go back and listen to the reporting of how Jake Tapper was reporting Obama. Yeah, I got my issues with President Obama, but the issues I got are fact based. Not some lies, not oh, I just don't like him because of this. Nah, it was some policies or things he did or didn't do. Mr. Farrakhan don't hold no office, but they act like he hold office, and they know Mr. Farrakhan reached to the black community because they monitor our social media. They put the ear to the ground. They know that all the blacks that used to say, "Man, I don't agree with Mr. Farrakhan," but they be like, "Yep, he right, amen, yep, brother, mm-hmm." See what it is? They mad that somebody his age, they afraid. If you notice, think about it. Bill Cosby and Farrakhan was in the same age range, right? Think about that. You take Cosby down because he's rich and got a voice. You don't want him to have no legacy, or you don't want him to be able to have influence or be able to lead something to our people. Then you got the brother out there who's calling out, pointing out political and biblical things and stuff. Think about what black man or black guy that speaks up. We have to be careful. I don't want a Dr. King. I don't want a Malcolm X, but somebody go out there and articulate the issues of our community without always including everybody else melanated people, because those other melanated people, they decided long ago they didn't want to be a part of us. Now they want to latch on to these protests. Now all of a sudden they quote Malcolm and they down. I don't like opportunists. I don't like manipulators. But y'all are not going to vilify this brother like this. It's time that we in the community start calling this out. And stop pushing that line that he had something to do with Malcolm. It was a documentary they did, which they show the guy that participated in it, and the evidence, the New York police and all, and the government had all this evidence, but y'all want to push that lie that they had that Farrakhan had something to do with it. And I told y'all years ago, I said the FBI was monitoring, the New York police was monitoring Nation Islam. They was monitoring all the branches across the country. If they had any inkling that Farrakhan had anything to do with it, they would have stopped Farrakhan in the 70s. A lot of y'all need to start using logic, and that bugs the hell out of me that people do not embrace logic. In order for us as a community to be strong, as a people have to be strong, we have to stop letting emotion get in the way. We have to stop letting people manipulate us. How many of us have sat back and seen white folk be manipulated and lied to, like, don't they see it? Well, guess what? Some of our people have been manipulated in the same ways. And I'd be like, don't you see it? I'm not telling you to agree or love this man. I'm not telling you go out there and fall on a sword for this man. I'm telling you do not regurgitate lies about this man or the Nation of Islam. Like I said, there's some things in the Nation of Islam that I look at like, oh, I don't know about that. There's some things that Mr. Farrakhan have said like, I don't think I would have said it that way, but I get where he's going with it. And there's things that I say I flat out disagree with him with. But I was able to grow up as a little boy and thank God my mother and father didn't try to tell me what to think. They suggested certain things, or they said, I'm going to put you in this direction and let you figure it out. I'm telling you right now, if we don't watch it, 10, 15 years from now, those brothers and sisters who are a certain age, they're going to be all the negative stuff. Because I'm telling you, there's some black kids out here that I've seen on social media. Yeah, the Nation is, Mr. Farrakhan's anti-Semitic. That's the first thing they go to. Now, he's anti-LGBTQ. But y'all seen the speeches he gave where he talked about his take on homosexuality. Matter of fact, he didn't eased up on a lot of it. He said, I love my brothers and sisters who are gay. We may not agree, but I love them. He said, I would not condemn them. I would not turn them away. That's a guy who hates gay people. Just like I did commentary saying, I may not agree with homosexuality, but I would not stop a person who's gay from living their life. When that woman in Texas became that clerk and was not certifying those marriages, I said that was wrong. The law state they have a right to expression, they have a right to love who they love. Now here it is, but y'all couldn't say black people anti-gay. Yes, I got issue with the gay community. I think some of our brothers and sisters are confused. I'm not going to lie about that or apologize for that. But I would never say, guys, you gay, you can't live your life. Who am I to tell another human being who they can't love? But Jake Tapper think he's slick. Let's go out there and say Farrakhan's anti-gay. And notice there's a segment of the gay community. All the black community is up there. It's homophobic. And they never sit down and ask us why we feel the way we do. You just throw it out there. Jake Tapper knew exactly what he was doing and why he was doing it. I want y'all to read this. Farrakhan is a vile anti-LGBTQ, anti-Semitic misogynist. Why is a Fox channel airing this propaganda, but y'all never ask Fox why they air all that other crap? Why is it that Farrakhan rubs you the wrong way? Well, Harvey, he's anti-Semitic. I want you to go out there and tell me exactly what he said. And then I want you to go after those rabbis and those leaders of the Jewish community that Farrakhan has sat down with when they defended Farrakhan. Jake Tapper is a racist. He's an arsonist. He's a flamethrower. He's a crap starter. And then Ice Cube said, "Watch your mouth, Jake." I don't blame Q, and we need more blacks to stop being afraid to call out white supremacy or these opportunistic people, because they want to make us as if we're the bad guys of the story. Anytime black folks stand up for themselves, everybody Johnny come late. They want to muck it up, mess it up. Oh, don't look at the black community. What about our community? Y'all don't have the same issues as we do. Y'all was not putting the button. Just like the other day, I was on social media, and this dude gonna say, blacks the only ones who have Irish headed hard. I'm like, really? Right now, they're going to teach, in Illinois, they say LGBT history got to be taught, mandatory within the schools system. It has to be mandatory. So y'all saying ain't no progress? Y'all still trying to play that the gay community have it so rough? They don't even talk about black history in history books. But y'all, they're going to make sure they talk about the gay community. So when y'all, they talk about the Jewish community. So when y'all start talking about our issues and saying, being dismissive of me, like, well, you don't have that problem. They talk about y'all history, or what y'all could claim to be y'all history. This is why you need black media. This is why I get ticked off when these social media sites or platforms start to try to purge us, because they want to shut us down. Now, if you think the crap that I've said in this commentary, I shouldn't say crap, because what I said is important, but you know what I mean. The stuff that I said in this commentary, I should say. That was a mind fart. If you think what I said in this commentary is inaccurate, all I ask you go do your own research. I want to remind y'all, if I was uncomfortable and thought that all my facts wasn't in order, what I've said or what I mentioned was a lie, I would encourage you to go do your own research. I'm more than likely people trying to say, trust me, believe me, I know what I'm talking about. He's an anti-Semite. He's anti-gay. Nah, go listen to the man's speeches. You ain't never heard the Nation of Islam protesting out the gay community or Jewish community. They don't get down like that. But Jake Tapper decided, once again, let's make Farrakhan a story. It's a slow news cycle. We don't want to talk about Donald Trump no more. We don't want to talk about the protests no more. So let's go out there and bring Farrakhan up. Jake Tapper is a rotten son of a you know what. And I'm glad Ice Cube called his butt out on that. I'm glad that Cube said, hey, you figure because you went to this university or because you can read a teleprompter, they smart us. They're not smarter than you and I. Cats like Jake Tapper, the reason why a lot of these lies have been spread for years and years, and the media want to pretend like they don't spread them, like they don't have any part of it. This is why we need black media. This is why we need more black people out there in the press. This is why we got blogs out there. We need more black voices, especially black voices that want to tell the truth, who are not out here out to manipulate or just make a profit. Yeah, I mean, you want to get paid, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about selling your soul. See, Mike Wallace created this monster many years ago. The hate produce. You get mad at black folk for calling out people manipulations and they hate towards us. So we're the bad guys for calling it out. And y'all go after Minister Farrakhan, the man ain't been on TV like that in years or presence, but y'all feel the old man, we gotta take him down. We take Farrakhan down. We got Cosby. We got all the straight black men. Or you know, all these dudes are family men. You notice that if you haven't noticed, think about that. All the men that they talk about bad and stuff are all family men. They didn't raise their children. They got grandchildren. But the ones they want to prop up are single, out there running roughshod, sexual fluidity, all this different stuff. They want you to listen to that. Listen to this person. White folk wants to listen to Barack Obama. Listen to Barack Obama. Now it's Obama want to come out and talk Black Lives Matter, but you was a president, you say a damn thing about an issue. You told black folk, just respect the law. My legacy. Go out and vote. Farrakhan would tell you, yeah, you go out and vote, but you better think about what you're voting for. You better think about what you're demanding. We should own our own stuff. But these media companies, they don't want it. They go get these reporters with a hidden agenda. And Jake Tapper's a rat. And I hope this video gets to, I would love to bait his ass. I would love to say, I want you to tell me exactly what Farrakhan said. He was anti this. And then if he did say it, ask yourself, why did he go there? They don't want to do that. You worry about what another network airs. Don't you watch it. And then when they afraid, well, black people watch it. Are you trying to say that black people, we can't think for ourselves? That we got a group mindset? That's insulting to our community. That's what he's saying. We don't want them Negroes to listen to Farrakhan. They might start thinking, or they might get even bolder and want to march more. And the funny thing is, Jake Tapper is proving Farrakhan and Malcolm and Martin and any other black man, famous or not, right about a particular group of people mindset.